Okay, so here we are. Welcome to True North Insight, and I'm Jill Davey sharing practices tonight inspired by Levine and his book, A Year to Live, which is reflecting off the light. There it is, A Year to Live by Levine. And I'll put a link to that book below the YouTube recording, and I'll also put it in the chat here for those of you who are here on the Zoom call with me. It's a interesting book, let me put it that way. And lots of helpful stuff in it. But it's mostly helpful to do as this process that some of us are doing with other people and really sharing conversation about it. Yeah, and so it came up a couple times in other groups this week, forgiveness, and so that's why I was like, seems there's something afoot that's calling me to talk about this practice. So Levine has, I think really skillfully, I find it helpful anyways, to put these two very distinct and separate practices that can be done independently of each other, absolutely. But he says that really they could, or I think he maybe even said should. Would he say such a word? Should? Maybe not. Let me see. Anyways, he says that doing these two practices together, I don't know if he says should. He did say should. Should be developed simultaneously. The forgiveness finishes unfinished business. It is another primary facet of our life review that should be developed simultaneously with the gratitude meditation. And I think it's really interesting and helpful to see how these work together, because in this life review practice that's part of the Year to Live exploration and journey that we all at some point will be having a year to live, but we don't know when that year is starting, so you might as well start now in case this is your year to live. So he talks about how in life review we have pleasant memories, unpleasant memories, and neutral memories. Some of you will recognize those three words as the Vedana, the feeling tone of every experience is either pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Everything that contacts our sense doors has this quality that is just in the bare knowing of it. This is before it becomes clinging or aversion. And and so pleasant memories are the place where we're cultivating gratitude, right? Because that's a good, pleasant connection. The heart feels is touched in a certain way when we reflect with gratitude on relationships and experiences and joys, and we can feel how we're brightened and lightened and opened and receptive with that type of pleasant memory. And at one type of unpleasant memory or unpleasant memories where there's been some harm, some unresolved, something that was unskillful, whether intentionally or unintentionally through others' actions or words. Those are things that have often left some residue, some effect. The same way pleasantness affects us, has a residue, has karma. Unpleasantness has also a residue and effect. And so then this brings in the forgiveness practice to free the heart, to free the heart and quiet the mind. Levine it Levine? Now I'm saying Levine, I'm thinking, is it Levine? He, I did a little sidetrack there. Let me get back. Lost my thought. Okay, he's saying that a good portion of people that are afraid, have a fear of dying, the fear of death and dying, is tinged with, is coming from the fear of retribution, if you will, like judgment day, quote unquote, right? And so this is where the forgiveness practice can be really liberating, to not wait until you don't have the energy or the, if we're really sick or on our, in our dying time actively, we might not have the energy then to direct our hearts into forgiveness, our hearts and minds. And so now is the time to do that. He says, finishing your business before the lease is up, the lease on this body, he means. So maybe that is enough to segue into these practices. So we're going to start by a nice long reflection and cultivation of gratitude practice, and feel how the heart is inclined to that, and it's very skillful to direct ourselves to gratitude. And then from that place of kind of tenderized awareness, we can gently move into some of the forgiveness practice. We're not going to probably go for the big ones tonight, but we'll just start that possibility. Nisargadatta says, the mind creates the abyss and the heart crosses it. The mind creates the abyss and the heart crosses it. That's a beautiful reminder. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all. Do I want to read this poem now? I think we'll go into the meditation, and then I'll read a poem from, yes, that's right, Rosemary. She should pay me. Rosemary Watola-Tromer. You can tell her I said so. Or her poem called Gratitude. I'll put the link to it here. And hopefully, the more you hear me refer to her poems, the more you will be inspired to visit her site and purchase some of her beautiful books. Many, many beautiful books of poetry. Okay. And if you're watching on the YouTube recording, I'll put the link to that poem and to her site below that recording as well. Okay, so for this, this is one of the heart practices. It's kind of like, it's not officially one of the Brahma Viharas, but gratitude and forgiveness practices are kind of in that category. There's these 4 practices that are considered the divine abode practices, but these 2 are kind of honorary members of that club, I would say. And others have said, not just me. So it's very important when doing these divine abode practices that we're very kind with our being right here and now. So for you, that might mean laying down. You might like to dim the lights in your room. You might like to turn away from the screen. You might like a shawl, a pillow, I'm going to tuck a little pillow behind my back of my hips here. So take some time to see what you need to be comfortable and hopefully in some stillness. So we're starting by offering this kindness to ourselves. Great. So as you've got your space and your body supported and comfortable, inviting this kind relationship with ourselves right here and now. And you feel free to take any sighing breaths that might feel helpful to you, just letting yourself really feel this transition into what we are calling formal practice. A deeper or sighing breath can help us to let go of activities we were doing before and just to be here. And finding posture for your eyes that feels conducive, supportive, helpful for your settling and arriving into this different kind of awareness. So for some that may be eyes closed, and for others just eyes resting downward, slightly open. Whichever posture for the eyes is helpful for the forehead to release any unnecessary tension. And as the eyes rest, we can just notice if there's any tension held in the jaw. And see if any of that is not needed right now. As the face becomes a little more at ease, we might feel the neck begin to lengthen, shoulders dropping, the weight of the shoulders sliding into the elbows underneath the shoulders, and aware of resting hands wherever is comfortable for you. It could be palms up or down or hands resting together. And Stephen in this book teaches repeatedly and quite persuasively about the benefits of practicing soft belly meditations. So as you're settling into your posture, see if there's any holding here in the deep inner layers of the belly that isn't needed right now. Wide, soft belly. Wide, soft heart center. And in these next few moments here, just being with your own being in its simplicity, just sitting, feeling the ground, supportive ground, or reclining if that's the posture you're in. Just saying hello to yourself in this moment. And in this presence with ourselves, in this moment, this simplicity, we invite in now into our heart-mind awareness someone from your past whose kindness has touched your heart-mind, or your heart. And just see who shows up. Might be surprising, might be not surprising. Could be a friend, teacher, ancestors, parents, animal companions. So there's lots of these beings that have shown us kindness in our life. And just see which one is showing up clearly right now. And just let that one stand in for all those that we're going to be connecting with in awareness. And imagine you have the opportunity right now to tell them what they've meant to you. It may even be someone that you don't know, that there was kind of a random act of kindness that changed you or touched your life. Let them know what that meant to you. When it feels like the right time to say thank you. Thank you. When that conversation feels complete with that being, you can bow to them in your mind's eye, or hug them, or just say goodbye to them. And then just see who else arises, whose kindness has touched your heart. And so now I will be quiet for a few minutes here. You can just continue, take your time with this. When a conversation feels complete, you can open to another being. Sometimes we can also feel the heart touched by the kindness of others that we weren't the direct recipient of, but we witness. We see someone living in a really generous way or a compassionate way, and that kindness still touches our heart. So you can also, let them know how that has supported the growth of your heart, and express thank you to that, gratitude. Perhaps our frontline workers and health carers and teachers. Maybe one or two more beings here to call into awareness. And then taking a moment to say goodbye to this one that you're currently have heart awareness with. Thank you. And now see if you can take on this practice of receiving gratitude. There are others that are grateful for you, for the kindness you have offered, the generosity of time or wisdom or presence or random acts of kindness, or just your genuine love and friendship. And feel now that all those beings through your life are offering this gratitude and thanks to you, as much as it is possible for you. And I realize this is very difficult for many. See if you can receive what that might feel like. Notice if the belly is tight. Does it help to soften the belly to receive? It's very important to learn how to receive. Just a few more breaths with that attention, soft belly, receiving thanks. Thank you. Thank you. And then letting this go, soft belly, releasing breath. And just feel your whole being right now, sitting or reclining. And before we kind of transition into the forgiveness practice, I'm going to offer this poem that I mentioned called Gratitude by Rosemary Watola Tromer. Gratitude, it happens, needs less room to grow than one might think, is able to find purchase on even the slenderest of ledges, is able to seed itself in even the poorest of soils. Just today, I marveled as a small gratitude took root in the desert of me, like a juniper tree growing out of red rock. If I hadn't felt it myself, I might not have believed it, but it's true. One small thankfulness can slip into an arid despair, and with it comes a change in the inner landscape, the scent of evergreen. And so perhaps you can touch into that felt experience of this gratitude practice, slipping into the desert of our hearts, where we may have walled ourselves off or hardened to protect ourselves from the unpleasant memories. So with a little bit of this freeing of heart and quieting of the mind, we transition now to some forgiveness practice. To release the places of fear and shame and holding in the heart. Please know deeply that forgiveness does not condone harmful actions. It's a releasing of our own hearts, freeing of our own grief that's being carried. It's a merciful practice. Helpful to notice if the belly is hardened. So if you choose, you could stay with the gratitude practice if that's what you need. Or gently bring into mind someone whom you feel some unfinished business, some resentment, or please begin this practice with the least transgressor, not the biggest offender in your life. Just some confusion or unresolved or harm. And then in your mind's eye, perhaps letting this being know how you feel. And then listen to what your heart has to say. Allowing this gentle feeling into these times that you have felt hurt, harmed, neglected, treated unkindly. And as much as I'm able to forgive in this moment, or to just incline, move the awareness, open the awareness towards forgiving. I forgive you for the pain you have caused me, intentionally or unintentionally. This could be through your forgetfulness, your confusion, your anger, your indifference. Aware that it's painful for me to have to put someone out of my heart. As much as possible, I offer forgiveness now. Or I incline towards that. This is not something you can force. If you don't feel ready to offer that, just forgive yourself for that. There's no judgment, there's no forcing this. Forgiveness is an act of self-compassion. And just take another moment with this being, as much as you're able to say, I forgive you, or I offer forgiveness. And when you're ready, let this go. Let them go. Say goodbye. Release your breath in your belly. Feel your body. If you feel overwhelmed, open your eyes. Feel the ground. Now we'll gently turn towards the forgiveness practice with someone who might have resentment towards us. Knowing that there are times when we have caused pain, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Times we have hurt, harmed, abandoned, turned away from, not cared for. Again, not going for the biggest transgressions, but just being really gradual and gentle so that we can actually let the heart be touched. Hearing what they might wish to say to you, and when you're ready, asking for forgiveness. Aware of the pain that you yourself were in when you caused difficulty for another. And like the gratitude practice, allow yourself to feel any waves of forgiveness being offered to you. Let yourself be forgiven. And as you're ready, closing this connection with a being that we have harmed, asking for and receiving that forgiveness. Release the breath in the belly if there's holding there. And lastly now, not clinging to any self-righteous suffering, allowing ourselves to receive this gift of freedom. And so calling yourself by your own name and saying, I forgive you. Say your own name and I forgive you. This can be one of the places where we really cling to our own suffering and pain. It can be very hard to let this one go. Self-forgiveness. So remembering now all the times I have hurt or harmed myself, neglected or turned away from myself. Either knowingly or unknowingly, with my thoughts, my words, my actions. Perhaps out of fear, distrust, confusion. I offer forgiveness to myself in this moment. Say your name and I forgive you. When you're ready, Gently releasing that part of the practice. Notice what's happened in the belly or other areas of tension for you, or the breath. Feel the ground, whole body. And as we know that our hearts need to receive this and offer this, we wish this for all beings everywhere. May all beings everywhere feel their hearts touched by gratitude and their minds freed with forgiveness as much as is possible. Take your time, gently releasing from that quite deep practice, perhaps. Yeah, go gently. Okay, so if you've joined us on the YouTube recording, I wish you peace and ease. This is I was hesitant to offer this practice in kind of just like a YouTube forum. It really is a tender territory. So I encourage you to reach out if you need support. It's not considered skillful or wise to practice forgiveness with the biggest offender in our lives. Really go gently and very gradually. This is a long journey, and please reach out if you need support. You can contact me through True North Insight if that feels helpful. Thank you, and there will be links to the book and the poem, and also links to offer support to me, our True North Insight, for us to continue offering the Dharma in these times of great need. Okay.